Welcome to the third episode of Winning the Journey Within podcast. This week, I'm honored to be joined by one of my favorite people that basketball has brought into my life, Nina Aho, a truly gifted point guard, not only a leader on the court, but also a remarkable presence off it. Her strength, honesty, and humility make her stand out in every way. I'm extremely proud of the way she shared her story and how her journey has shaped the resilient, grounded, and inspiring person she is today. Hello. Hi. One of my favorite people in the world. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of my podcast and talk to me about your life and everything that comes with it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, and it's an honor that you asked me and, told me about your whole journey for this podcast.
And we have to say that this is your kind of environment. This is where you feel the most you. And I'm happy that we were able to make this happen, actually. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Listen, it's everybody's. That's why I think
it should be.
Hopefully. That's why it's so, inspiring, I guess, that it's everybody's, and look, there's nobody around, so I guess that's a plus.
Almost nobody.
Almost nobody. But this is fun.
I'm gonna ask you first to tell me something about you, to tell me who Nina is outside of basketball court.
Oh, that's a great question. I'm just gonna say
exactly. There's so much. What do I choose?
It's so much to say, but at the same time, it's a journey, I guess. Basketball is, I feel like, for you too. We're doing this for our whole existence, so it's like it comes with our personality, but at the same time it's not only what we do and who we are. So I think after a while you start thinking about, okay, what am I outside of the court, outside of basketball, and who am I, and what are the things that I'm taking with me for the rest of my life, and what are the things that I have to leave behind after basketball is done. But it always changes and it improves, and it's a bumpy road, and I feel like it would be a bumpy road even without basketball. So I think it's just finding who you are at each stage of your life and just taking the most important things with you on the journey. So I would say I'm a journey.
That's
sure.
Awesome. I love that for you. And definitely getting to know you, and in these past 4 years, I know what kind of journey it is, and I would love you to just share a little bit more about it. And let's start from the beginning, because it's very important for you. As it is for all of us, but especially for you, being so beautifully different in a country of Hungary, on the street and in the school, being the only mixed child in your situation. So how did this feel growing up? Introduce your family a little bit too, like.
Okay, so my mom is Hungarian. She grew up in a small town, and then she went to Budapest for college. That's where she met my dad, who is from Benin, a small country in Africa. It could be a whole different episode about how they got together and how this whole situation.
We want them there.
Yeah. But yeah, so my parents are, from two different worlds, and I guess that's what I've experienced in my whole life. A lot of different situations. Growing up was very interesting. There was always a question mark above my head because I never understood what is the difference, but I always felt the difference. So it was interesting to see how people accept me or don't accept me because of who am I or what I show about myself. So I was always on my toes about, okay, you have to be presentable, you have to act a certain way so people will like you all the time, because they will have a stereotype when they look at you from the get-go. So I take that with me, obviously, you know, the journey. I took that with me for a very, very, very long time. And now you met me at a point, I think this is gonna be great. Because you met me at a part of my life where I still had that in me very strongly. But in the past 4 years, as you can see,
Yes.
and as you know,
Yes.
this huge part of me that wanted to be liked by everybody and loved by everybody just started to, I don't know, crumble, I guess, because I understood that it's not about them, it's about me. And it was always about accepting myself first and not waiting for them to accept me. And I'm still on that journey. Obviously, it's a long road, but I feel just very grateful for that experience because it made me very loving towards people, very grateful because I think I met so many good people who did not see the stereotype and did not see the difference, what others did see. So I think it's very, I don't know, it's very valuable how I grew up. Although if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I probably did not say the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm at a point where I'm truly grateful for the way I grew up or how my situation was. And also, you know, I got to go home to a comforting few people who knew how my experience was. So it was never about me being alone because, you know, my sisters knew, my dad knew. And my mom had a very different perspective, which was also, I think, not an easy one. But I always had that little bubble at home that it's okay, like we all go through this together. So it's you're not alone in this.
Yeah. Do you think basketball world helped you in this aspect to?
Yes, definitely yes. I mean, basketball opened up the world. I got to see so many places. I got to meet so many different people, and it showed me that it's okay. Like the more different you are, the better it is. Like you can show yourself in so many different ways, and yeah, it just made me feel like I have a place to be, where I can be comfortable and not be judged by the way I look or anything like that. So it was more about just, you know, I can be a part of this group of girls who work the same way, who think the same way, who do the same thing, and I don't have to be the outsider.
Yeah, but I also I feel like the first year we met, we were part of the team that like we were all so different, but we were so accepting of each other, and the conversation was always like, few of us were like, I was never accepted this way in a locker room, in my team, in the group of people. Like, it's okay for me to be weird. Like, is that for real? Like, are you for real? So I feel like we've been lucky in the past few years with the group of people that we were around. But I also, do you think that also comes with the work that you do on yourself, and then you kind of attract the people that are needed for your journey?
Yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've experienced this too, but I've experienced it too. Once you start working on yourself, like really start thinking about, okay, who am I? Why am I this way? What are the patterns that I do that are not serving my life? What are the patterns that are serving my life? And you start asking questions and you start to change and improve. And I feel like my 20s are really about this journey. But there are people you have to leave behind, and there are people who are there to teach a lesson, and once you learn that lesson, they just move on and just let them go. But if you don't learn that lesson, people who have to teach you that lesson will keep coming. But as you mentioned, I always think about how this team is and how rare this is. And I really think that all the stuff that each individual went through their own lives and how different we are and how weird we are and how much we had to work to accept that in ourselves, this is our reward.
I think so too.
This is the look, you worked hard, you went through a bunch of stuff, but here are a group of people who will like you for the way they where you are, and it's not gonna be always easy because it hasn't been always easy. But this is why you do it. This is why it's worth doing it. So keep doing it.
Yeah. That was definitely my journey too. I feel like the more I worked on myself, and when I felt like I'm becoming who I'm supposed to be, I felt like I was rewarded with a group of people like you guys were at the beginning of my journey in Hungary, and then throughout all these 4 years. So I definitely feel like that's kind of a law, you know.
No, truly.
I
Like,
feel that like that is
the work
the
you put in
case.
is always coming back to you.
Yeah. But okay, let's go back a little bit to basketball. So you started playing in Hungary, in Budapest, obviously, in younger teams, and then you decided to make a step and go to college, go to States. So like, let's just like talk about this journey a little bit from here to there.
Okay, so yeah, I started out in Budapest because my parents still live in Budapest, but I grew up in Budapest, finished high school, and then so my senior year in high school, I tore my ACL right before signing to college. Here comes the fun part. Here we go. So I was 17, 18 when I turned my ACL, but they still wanted me to go, which was extremely nice of them. So I still signed, had surgery, did my rehab, graduated, and the journey started. So I went to the States, which was always been my dream. It was a very stubborn dream of mine. I think I was like 10 years old when I started playing basketball. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to America and experience, because I have to. Like, there's no way I can play basketball without experiencing that part of the sport. So I finally got there, and it was like shock. You know, I was like, okay, wait, hold on, what is going on? First of all, I'm coming back from an injury. I have no idea what. So my dad came with me. He spent the first week there with me, and then he left, and I was like, I'm alone. What? And it was tough, very much needed, and a great experience. And now we got the team. Like it was, I worked, and there was a reward. You know, like people kept showing up, people kept being there for me. I found so many valuable things on my journey in the States. But I played in my first year, then I got injured the second year again. Same knee, another surgery. Rehab was 9 months. I come home for a little bit, go back because I had to get ready for the next season. Comes third year, here we go. I did a preseason, I started the season, I played 5 games. Injury again. I had blood clots in my lung. Crazy story. Whatever. 6 months because I was on blood thinners, so I couldn't finish the season. I came home. I think I played for the university team because in that year we had the university games, which was fun because at least I could play again with some fun people. And then my 4th year came, and I was very tired at that point. I obviously had multiple ups, more downs than ups during those 4 years because I was very young and I didn't really know how to handle all that. I was alone, I didn't have my sisters with me. So it was very hard. But looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. And it's crazy because there were so many moments when I wanted to quit. So many moments. But I literally laughed through it all.
I was gonna say, but everybody who doesn't know Nina, you know, like, she smiles through it all, unless you ask her 2 or 3 times, like, "Are you sure you're okay?"
No, seriously, it's. I really started living by, you know, this one sentence that I always say: you either laugh or you cry. It's your decision, and it's truly your decision. Obviously, tough things are going to happen, but you decide if you can laugh during those tough times. Obviously, don't overdo it because, you know, sometimes I overdid it and I laughed in situations where I probably shouldn't have, but it helped me get through it all. I don't think
It's your way.
yeah, I don't think I would be the same if I cried through it all. I mean, obviously it's important to cry and you have to let it out, but I guess it was just my way of handling things.
I'm just gonna rewind a little bit. So your first sentence was like, "I came to States and I was shocked." Like, what was the biggest difference? Like, what shocked you the most?
Everything. You know, when your life is comfortable, you know which road to take to go home, what is your comfort food, what to expect from people, your language, the what time you will get up, what time you go to bed, and that changes like this. And then it's like you have people who understand you, but you really don't have people who understand you. It will take a while to get used to change, which is also another thing that I've been learning to like, because change is hard, but it's the only thing that's constant in life. So that was definitely one of the biggest changes, but it was so needed because I needed to understand that change is there and it's going to be there, and the bigger the change is, the more opportunities you get to see the world, to improve and to get better.
Yeah, that is true. That is beautiful. But okay, go back to injuries.
Yeah, so third year played, yes, and then fourth year I finished without an injury. I graduated, and then I decided, and then COVID hit, yeah.
So
And then COVID hit, and then I signed to Milica, yes.
yeah. Okay, but wait a minute. So it's one thing to recover from an injury that lasts however long, like, but it's one injury, it happens once, you're like, okay, I'm gonna get better. The mind process that you have in these moments, and you go through it, you come back, it hits again. And you go through it again and again and again, and then another one. So this like repeating itself, you know, like how do you process the first one mentally, and how hard was it the second time around and each time after that? How did you equip yourself from one to another?
You know, people look at me crazy when I say this, but the first one was needed. I wouldn't play basketball if I wasn't injured the first time.
I hear that all the time.
It was too much for too long. And I'm the type of person and player who can't say no. And I would always just go, and my heart would not let me stop.
Take a break.
And I had to get injured for me to keep playing. So that the first injury was just, I got to rest. The second one was a bit trickier. Obviously, the first thing a person does in any type of bad situation is why. And I couldn't find the answer for a very long time. And I think after a couple months, I was like, it's probably protecting me from something. Something that I wouldn't be able to handle if I wasn't injured. Third time.
So wait. Was that the case?
I don't know. I still can't figure it out. And I probably will never figure it out. But that made my heart settle. Like, I wasn't upset about the injury once I accepted that. So I'll just left it at that.
You took that as a reason.
Yeah. It just felt like that, you know? The third time now, when the lady told me I had clots, I hysterically started laughing in the hospital. She was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go to the ER. What's next?" And then I was like, "Okay, maybe um, But that one, I was like, "Okay, something is wrong. This can't be. Like, come on now. Like, I know I like to laugh, but this is too much." So that one was probably the lowest point throughout my 10 years of injuries. Well, debatable, but it was one of the lowest ones. Also because I didn't feel hurt. Like the first couple of weeks was tough because I couldn't breathe how I normally would breathe. But after that, I couldn't put together the two. Like I was always hurt, like my knee was hurting, I had to do rehab. But this time, I just couldn't play because of the blood thinners because, you can't do contact with it. So I was running, shooting, lifting. I just couldn't play, which was just very heartbreaking. And that was probably when the other two, the stuff that I couldn't process at that time, probably came back with that one. So that was very tough. It took me a very long time to get over that. But also playing that summer helped because I was like, oh, I still love this sport. It's just, everything.
Probably healed you.
Yeah, it did. So I smiled through that one, although that wasn't necessarily healthy smiling, but I got through it.
Yeah.
I got through it.
So you got back and COVID hit. We all know what that did to all of us.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you came back to Hungary.
Yeah.
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 And you've been in Miskolc since then, right?
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years, yeah. So before you talked how like the change that hit you when you went to States was like, oh, this is different. Like I don't know what to expect now. Then you came back home, and now you've been at one place, and we know how great this place is for all of us. But do you feel like on some level you are settling for the same choice? You are playing it safe a little bit, so you don't experience that change?
So this has been a very interesting topic that's been floating around. I talked to a lot of people, and this kept coming back. I'm a very sensitive person, and that comes with a lot of emotions, which I feel on a deep level. That being said, this is why I think I'm also a very loyal person. Like when I was a kid, I played at one club. In college, I didn't transfer. Now I've been at one club for 5 years, So like I choose places and I try to make those places better with my existence and with my whatever I can bring to the table. From one perspective, yes, it can look like it's comfortable and I'm settling, but I always have goals for every year, for every week, every month, every season to how can we make this better? How can we make this a better club? How can I make this a better team? What can I add to my personal experience? And it's been like that the past 5 years. I think it was one step after another. It was definitely a thing that we built together. And I wouldn't mind being that rare, different type of player who stays in one spot for the rest of her career. Because I think it's also very, very rare these days.
It's very rare, yeah. But you just said, like, I want to make this club better, this team better, people around me better, and me better. So are you always the last on the list?
I'm learning. I'm learning. I don't think I'll ever be a person who would put herself first. That's just not comfortable for me at all. I can't even imagine my life living that way. But I understand that it's not a healthy way either, to always push everybody in front of me. So I'm trying to find the balance. But it's also what makes me happy, helping others and trying to have other people smile and just make their life better, even if it's just for 1 second or for a year, for a season, for two, or whatever it is. I'm just really just listen. If you need this, I'll give it to you.
It is beautiful. It's something that I really, really love about you.
Thank you.
But it's also, as you said, it's not always healthy.
Yeah.
And it's you know, a lot of people can take advantage of that, and I've been trying to teach you and be like, just be a little more cautious about these things. But have you learned to put balance even in your like I've been watching you, and you said like you work hard, you all your life, like you cannot say no to a practice, to a game, to anything, because you're just that type of person. Same in your life, you give, you give, you give. So have you been able to find a balance in practicing, in giving yourself to the court, to the people, to your teammates? Like, how do you talk to yourself to try to make that happen? Because I know it's very hard for you.
You know, it's one thing to know what you're supposed to do and one thing to actually put it into practice, which is obvious. We all know that it's the toughest part. But life helps me, you know, it pushes me into situations where if I don't say no, my body will say no. And obviously injuries are at this point a part of Nina. Like, I don't think anybody who knows me would say injuries are not who I am. But these injuries are my no's, you know, like it's still very hard for me to say no to a practice because no, I can do it. And I'll be struggling inside and in pain. But probably this season was the first season where I was in so much pain. I was like, I have to say no. It doesn't matter how much it hurts me or breaks my heart. I cannot do it. I was physically unable to do so. And it opened my eyes that it could have been preventable. Like, I am the last person who will say what happens to my body. Like, I have to be the one who controls how much I can take, although I know I can take a great amount of load. But I have to learn, because if I don't, it's not just that my heart will break, but also the people who are around me.
There we go.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's very hard to find the thing that will click. I'm trying. I'm learning. No. It's probably a longer process for me. And I'm also trying to learn from others who can say, listen, I'm hurting, I can't do this. Because I've always looked at people like, not in a judging way, but I was like, I wonder how. You know, I'm just like, how do you, like, if it's not falling off, like, you know what I mean? Because I've always been like,
if your knee is not like,
if you can't walk, like, what's the problem? But I also respect that so much, because I didn't have that. I'm not gonna say I don't have that, because it's growing, it's there, it's coming. But I respect that so much about players who can be honest with themselves and respect their bodies and their journey. So I'm trying to learn from others also.
Who taught you the most in life, just in general? Like, what do you think were your biggest teachers?
Myself. Because I'm very stubborn, and because of, you know, what I was explaining, how I was always trying to be likable and lovable. I was always listening to people's advice and doing all that kind of stuff. But once I understood that it's about me, I'm doing it my way. And doing it my way really teaches me who I am. And I think listening to others is always needed, because you need a different perspective. Sometimes we get too caught up in our own little bubble, in our heads and in our own worlds. But if you don't do what your soul tells you to do and your intuition tells you to do, you will always regret it. And I think you do stuff because you want to get better, you want to experience life, and you want to love. I think these are the top three that people do stuff for. And if those things are the one that lead you, nothing bad will come out of it. Even if you feel like it is, it's trying to teach you something. And that's what I've experienced in the past, probably 10 years, because obviously my self-discovering journey started with my first injury. But that's truly what I feel like. It's just me doing things the way I want them to be or to go, really teaching me how I am. And I think that's the most important part.
How hard is it for you to ask for help?
That's my answer.
How hard is it for you to accept that somebody pays for your coffee?
I don't know which one's harder for me, to accept help or to ask for it. It's very hard. It's very hard.
Where does that come from?
How much time?
Let's dig a little bit.
Wow. How do I say this? I'm also the way I am because I'm trying to be a person who I needed the most. And because for the most part of my journey, not just the self-discovery, but everything that I've been through and lived through, I felt like I had to go through this. And I didn't have that constant comfort, you know? And that taught me that, okay, I really tried to rely on others. Probably I didn't do it the right way. Probably that was also a lesson that I had to learn. But at the time, that was not how I took it. I was like, all right, I'll just figure it out by myself, I guess. So that's a pattern that developed probably because it had to develop. But I got stuck there. And I'm still stuck there. This is another part of the journey that I have to work really hard on. But also what you said, that once you start working on stuff, people will show up who, you know, you can rely on. So I think it always circles back to you, because once you recognize that, okay, I'm somebody who can't ask for help or can't accept help, I need to work on that, and I start working on it, people will show up who you can rely on. And I think that is very beautiful.
That is very beautiful what you just said. Thank you for sharing that. I know that it's not easy. It was not easy to put it into words like that, but thank you for sharing that.
I mean, thank you for asking that question.
I'm gonna ask you now a little bit more about like basketball and on-court stuff. You know, you are a point guard, a great one that I love to play with, and like I hate your injuries for you, but I also hate them for me, because like I want you on the court, you know. So I really love playing with you, and I love what you are doing for the team. Not only like just being that kind of player on the court, but also being like the glue for us all, you know, and especially between us and between the coaches and all that stuff that you do on daily basis. And I want to ask you, how did you develop this? And was it natural? Was it something that you had to be taught, or you learned it by yourself? Was it a coach involved? I've never actually asked you this.
Well, literally, you know how I developed it? The stuff that we just talked about. Seriously, it's crazy now that we talk about it. I'm just like, I set out for I don't know how many seasons. And this is what I tell younger players who get injured. Like, it sucks, but you get to experience the sport from a perspective that most players don't. You will learn so much from looking at your teammates, from looking at your coaches, learning the plays, but seeing the plays differently. It's just, there's so much that goes into basketball with just watching it. And it's obviously different when you watch it on TV, when you watch the NBA. Like, it's so much different than that. Because when you get to see your own team and your own coaches, and then you learn to see how they think, how they react. Games are my favorite part because now I notice so many very small details with players. Like I know exactly what you're thinking when you miss that shot or you make that shot, or I just see the fire in that. You know, like I try to always add something to my resume with all the injuries that happened, and I guess this is the result. Like, this is the way I am now is because of the past 10 years of my basketball career. It's just, I guess I was always attracted to this part of the sport because I really didn't really have a choice at one point. And I always love to look at players and people, and I just, love to experience people. So I guess that helped for sure. But somehow, slowly, it translated onto the court too.
I did not expect that.
Yeah.
I asked this question a few times, and this is the first time I hear this kind of answer, and it's also beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's also really good, when you notice things that nobody does, and not the things that, like, I see that you're not confident, like, be confident, shoot that shot. No, it's like, why? You haven't touched the ball in 6 possessions. Of course your hands are cold and you're not going to make that shot. Like, or you've been beaten 2 times. Why? Probably because something happened or your mind is not there. Like, like, these are so many small things that I don't believe in negative reaction. Like, I think when people are struggling, you have to offer a hand and you need to help. Because if you don't, then why do you expect them to get out of it their own way? And I think that's just in very small, under a very small lens on the court and in very small situations.
What is your favorite part of the game?
It's a very good question. When everybody gets involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
When everybody feels like they got involved. Yes. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Because, there's one thing to think that, okay, everybody got involved, everybody should be happy. But no, when everybody feels that they put something into what we accomplished, that is the best part. And it's really good because it's so rare. Because obviously you can't make everybody happy all the time. But to make players understand that they have a role, even if it's small, and that it matters, it's probably the best thing ever.
And was it always easy to accept your roles in the teams that you were given?
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. It never was.
But how do we deal with these things? Like, everybody has their own way, and every way is right as long as it serves you.
Yeah.
What was your way?
I struggled a lot. Like, I remember struggling through these type of situations. But I also knew that, I think my dad told me this when I was very young. If you don't agree with your role, then work so hard that they have to put you out of that role and give you a better one. And as long as you do that, and as long as you have the confidence that you do the work that you can do and you do the most, then it's going to be okay. and I think you just have to push through. That's what I've always done. I think I trusted that what I've been through was making me stronger, and I also trusted there was always something for me to learn. I think these situations come because you have to experience life as a whole, as a basketball player, as a person, as any type of role that you get in life. And I had she was an assistant coach when I was under 20, and she said, you know, Nina, one of the best things that I learned during my basketball career that I was from the 12th player to the most important player, from the injured player to the healthiest player. And once you go through all that, you can help everybody. And you will learn so many things through those journeys. And I think I'm very close to I'm very close to her experience. But it's all you're never gonna be a done deal. Like even the best players improve and get better with very small things, and you just get to experience these situations for you to learn. And if you take that opportunity, then you will get your reward. And if you don't, then these situations will keep showing up. Like you need to learn what you need to learn.
And you mentioned your dad. That was a really nice sentence. That is a really good message to give to your daughter, to anybody. How were your parents with your career? Like, did they believe in you when you were little? Did they push you? Were they always there?
I think my parents were the best sports parents because they never called the coach. They never screamed at the coach. They even defended the coach when I was like, like, why am I not playing? Or he said something to me, and my dad was like, no, you probably did something why he reacted that way. I was like, whatever, but I'm really grateful for that, because this is why I learned that at the end of the day, it's about my reaction. And I can't control how people are. I can't control if they're gonna play me or not play me. I can't control if they like me or not like me, but I can control how I react to those people. And because of that sentence, my reaction was always push through, work harder.
Did that always help?
For the most part. Rather this than sink into, oh, that's just a stupid coach, and I'm the best way, and I'm the best, and the way I think is the best. I'd rather struggle a little bit and really just push through and work hard than to believe that it's somebody else's mistake.
No. And you have two beautiful sisters.
Yes.
I need to mention them, and one of them is playing with us, and she's just so adorable. Like even as a girl, as a player, and she's growing up so fast. And I see your relationship with her in our team, and it's so beautiful to have. It's so beautiful to have your older sister with you, and it's so beautiful to have your younger sister with you. That comes with a responsibility, obviously. Like, was it easy for you to manage that situation?
No, but also because when I left for college, she was very young. She was 10 years old, and when I got back, she was 14. That's a huge jump when you're that young. And we didn't know how to connect. So when she came, that was my reward for taking that risk to go to the States, And life was like, all right, here's your opportunity to get closer to your sister. And at first it was hard because you know how I'm a mom to everybody, especially my sister. But I think I learned in a year to not be her mother, but to be her sister. And since then, it's been great. I'm very grateful that we get to experience this. It's also very rare to play with your sister on a high level. So it's been a journey. Also because she is a point guard, so I get to help her a little bit more because of our position. So it's been great. That's I'm very grateful for that.
And your middle sister is also in basketball in some capacity. Yeah.
Everything about basketball is her except playing. So she does everything that's about basketball.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that kind of let's say relationship between you three and understand each other in on this level inside the basketball and inside in your lives, private lives also.
She's my most honest critique, which I really need in my life. And when it comes to basketball too, she really gives me clear and honest opinions. So a lot of times I just call her, and not even about my performance. We don't really talk about that, but like everything else. So it's very refreshing to have that in my life. Obviously, besides her being my sister, but that's definitely a plus that she stayed in the industry, and she sees things from a management standpoint or like from an agent standpoint. So she has a very different vision. She also watches a lot of basketball, so she sees a lot of different things. So I think that's very valuable also in my life to have that perspective.
Yeah, awesome. And for the end of our conversation, like how normally like nowadays we hear a lot like what would you say to your younger self and stuff like that. But I want to ask you, what would you tell Nina 10 years up the road? That Nina who's waiting to become.
I'm not gonna back down. I'll keep fighting for you. And now that I found myself, I won't change that for anybody.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Great question, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. It's been beautiful to talk to you. Thank you for opening up about some stuff that I know are difficult. And I'm so excited to see your journey and where this life takes you. And that Nina up 10 years up the road, I can't wait to meet her too. And maybe sit down like this again.
Oh, you better invite me again. You already know. I'll be. Hi.
When's my turn again?
Yeah. Can we go back to the forest or something? No, but seriously, thank you for coming to my life, staying in it, and just for being you.
It's my pleasure.
Jovanović.